Good evening, everyone. Hello, dear colleagues. Hello, guys. So the next session, and today I have a guest from Ukraine, Ms.Alina Suprun. And as always, I have special guests, and this session is also going to be special because Alina is not only a teacher, TESOL certified, MA in Linguistics, but she is also a certified specialist in emotion image therapy, right? So emotion image therapist. It's quite popular and in trend nowadays. It says poor connection. I hope you can hear me and you can see me. By the way, can you please give me some emoji so that I can see that you are there with me? So what we're gonna discuss today is information versus emotions, informative versus personal, not only in teaching but in learning, so all together, because this is still one process, teaching and learning. And also in our personal life, especially right now with current situation, and we believe that actually in any situation, our emotions take place in everything we do, no matter if it is a group work or individual work, no matter we're at work or at home. So yeah, this is what we're gonna talk about. Let me please check. Okay, I can see Alina. Hi, Alina. Can you please send me the request and then I will approve you? Brilliant. So, go live. Hide.
Hello, Ola.
Hi. Okay, I can see you. Hi, dear. How
It's
are you
nice
doing?
to put a face to a name.
Sorry?
It's nice to put a face to a name because we are already acquainted through Instagram, right? So I'm glad that I have met you finally.
Yay! Exactly. Well, we met at the parties, but never like individually.
Yeah, never like face to face. Yeah, only, that's COVID times, right? We all meet only in Zoom. So.
Cool. Yeah, I'm happy to see you finally as well. I hope you are doing well. So I was introducing you, Alina, and I introduced our topic, what we're going to talk about today, but I just want to make it clear. Alina, MA in English Linguistics, she is an experienced teacher. She's been working in university, Kiev National Linguistic University. She's been a corporate teacher for 4 years, and now she is a freelance teacher teaching corporate students, involved in so many projects which she creates and which she participates in. So we're gonna talk about everything today. So overall, Alina has 12 plus years of experience.
Right.
Am I correct? So today we're gonna talk, what do teachers really teach and what do they learn? Alina. So let's start from your touching story of becoming a teacher. Tell us everything.
I never intended to become a teacher. That was not my plan. Even though, as many girls, I think, when I was a kid, I played with my dolls. I would sit down, in a circle and teach them mathematics and languages. I never really wanted to teach people, but I somehow found myself in these situations when I was explaining things to people again and again, throughout my school years, because I was always this kind of model student. And people would ask me, can you explain this or that to me? And I remember that even people who didn't really like me, I mean, my classmates, they would come to me during exams asking me questions. Could you explain that chemistry or literature, whatever? And I remember just sitting in the yard telling people who I disliked. something about the structure of the body or something about Ukrainian literature and so on and so forth. And it happened at the university as well. I remember before exams, I was always very prepared, so I didn't have any problems. So I was just kind of revising everything that I learned and helping my fellow classmates, group mates to just, pass the exams, not to fail. And then when I was in my 5th year of studies, they offered me a half-time, like part-time position to teach students who were, maybe I was like 21 and those students were like 19 or 20 years old. So that was at first really stressful because I felt like a fraud, like I'm an expert, but they are basically just a few years younger. And then I kind of fell in love with it, especially when I started to teach foreign students, because then I just actually started to work at the university as a full-time teacher. And I started to teach Chinese, Iranian, Turkish, Egyptian, Japanese students. This was the most difficult faculty. No one actually wanted to work there because everyone would say, "Oh, it's so hard. Like they don't understand our language. You have to, you have to use your body a lot, like face, scarf. Yes, so you have to be. It's almost like working with children. You have to be
Yeah,
very
but at the
active
same time, you were communicating in English, right? It was an English
all
program.
the time, and they didn't know English. They didn't know Ukrainian. They didn't know Russian. They knew nothing. So it was like to teach them from scratch. Like they had nothing. I had to work from the ground up. And I had to create kind of my own approaches, my own methods, because obviously the way I was teaching Ukrainian students didn't work with those ones because they don't know our culture. They don't understand culture references. They don't know how to speak in this language, obviously. And that's what they came here to study. They came to Ukraine to study English. And they have to learn not only the language, but they just kind of have to learn everything. Everything is very strange to them. And, it was like chickens. I felt like this big mother hen, who is always followed by this little Chinese chicken. Who are always like asking me questions. And I think because I was so young, I was so flexible, it helped me to establish a rapport with them. Because I'd never shouted, I never screamed at my students, I didn't demand that they are perfect. I just wanted them to do what they can, and that's how our relationship started. So we were doing little steps. And I remember that I was fiercely protecting them from the dean's office and from teachers who were shouting at them and so on, because I was this kind of like teacher who is responsible for them. Yeah, so they were like my group.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like mom,
Yeah.
So I remember they brought me candies and tea and say, "Учитель, для вас." So, so they were saying it in very bad Russian, and they weren't able even to say my name, not even with the patronymic, but just even Alina. It was difficult for them. So
Yeah.
they would just say, "Teacher." And I think that was the time when I fell in love with teaching. Not with the working at the university, which was like really hard, but with this idea that you change people's lives, right? So they come and tomorrow they change and you can see them growing. You can see this process. You can see how they develop and you develop something in them as well.
That's a
And
common process, yeah, teaching and learning. So you teach and you learn and they
absolutely.
learn and that's all the time this circle.
It's not only about me teaching, it was also about me learning because I remember asking them about Chinese culture, about their names, about what their names mean, where they're from. They showed me pictures of their cities and so on. And I started to become interested in that because I realized that when you start to teach people, you learn from them a lot because you can ask them about the experiences. You haven't experienced anything like that. I didn't grow up in a patriarchal Chinese family, for example, but I could totally ask my students, how did you feel growing up in a place like this? When your grandma and grandpa kind of, define your life, like for the rest of your life. And it was very insightful. So I worked for years. They got their diplomas. I stood on the stage with them, on this like celebration. And then I realized that this is it. Oh, hello. Hello, Tamar from
Hi, nice
Georgia. So
to
pleased to
see
meet
you.
you.
Yeah, that's really touching, and I think in these 4 years, by teaching them, you learn so much that you expanded your own experience, like being in your own country, but you learn so much from different
I know that
cultures.
you worked with children, right? Before you became an adult teacher.
Well, I started working in a school, just a state
Mm-hmm.
school. So I worked with the children of the first grade till the high school, so all of them. Then
Raise
I
them,
moved
yes.
to private school, so I had
Mm-hmm.
their students 4+ and no limit, like 55, 65, I can't
Mm-hmm.
remember. And then there was university, so college students, university students, and postgraduates. And then there was always a mix. So now mainly adults, of course.
Mm-hmm. So yes, you get a lot attachment, right? You get attached to those people, especially when you teach them not for just several months, but for years. They grow up and you watch it.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why I left the university because I realized that I would be watching people grow and depart into their adult lives every like 4 years. And I don't
Are you
know,
still
it's
in
hard.
contact with these people, with your students?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's inevitable. We are not machines. We feel emotions connected to our students. Maybe we can't become friends with them really. Yeah, not really, because this is like this precarious thing. There is this bond, but at the same time there is this boundary that we shouldn't cross. Yeah, not if we want to remain on the ethical side, but we get attached to them a lot. And I cried a lot, when my students left, especially the groups which I was really, really interested in, and with which we had very meaningful conversations. So,
Yeah.
when I kind of moved a little bit from the book into talking to people about their lives, you find out more and more about them, and you just keep it in your head, right? Who loves cats, who loves dogs, who is allergic to strawberries, who likes music, and so on. And
Yeah,
you
there should
find
be a
out more
little
about
bit,
them.
there should be a small distance, of course, otherwise you
Yeah,
will not have any discipline and you may lose the respect because you are still the teacher and they're still students. But
hmm
at least after their graduation, you can always become friends. Then it's possible once everything is finished.
I haven't tried actually. Yeah, I have never tried, but yes, I know that other people do that. I just wasn't lucky, maybe.
But those
So,
roles finished, so now why not?
hmm yeah, and that's actually when I started to think that teaching is a more difficult job than just going to the office and doing some work with data or whatever, because you work with people and inevitably you work with yourself, with your own personality, with your character. It all plays out in the classroom. You can't pretend that you're a different person. It's
Yeah,
not
and you're
possible.
always live. It's always live
Absolutely.
session, right? It's like
Yes,
you
yes.
cannot record it. You're always live. Whatever you say, no matter how you move, everything, every single gesture is live.
hmm
You're
Yeah,
always
and
on the
you
stage.
can't lie to your students, right? So you have to be authentic because they will feel that you're lying to them. Not only children, adults feel it too. Maybe on a little bit less because they got used to lying to each other as well. But with children, you have to be yourself, or they just won't listen.
Yeah, that's true.
And I've seen a lot of lessons, given by my colleagues. I watched lessons during my TESOL course, obviously, and made a lot of little notes. And I saw that people who connected with the room the best, they didn't always have the best lesson plan. Maybe they did. Maybe they had plan A, plan B, plan C, but it was always not about the lesson plan. Strangely, at TESOL, we were taught how to make your lesson plan perfect. Our trainers were there for us. They were sitting with us day and night, literally, so that our lesson plan was just superb. But I found out, especially when I was teaching my recorded lessons, which would be sent, to the head office of TESOL, so that they would determine whether I get the certificate or no. I found out that the best lesson I taught was the lesson when everything went not according to the plan, because everything was in a bit of a mess up. There were less children than necessary. Then there were more children than necessary. They were like 6, 7 years old. So it's the most, difficult category of children. They are naughty. They can cry. Yeah, they can like lose their patience. Yeah, they can throw a tantrum, whatever. And that at the beginning of the lesson, when I saw that there was this mix-up, that I wouldn't have peers, or maybe I would, I didn't understand, I was just sitting with them on the carpet, and we were playing animals. So I switched on some sounds of nature, and we are playing elephants, tigers, monkeys. It was a part of my lesson as well. Yes, it actually was connected. But I remember this moment as an absolutely fantastic moment of stillness. I didn't see trainers, teachers, group mates. I was only focused on my students, on these kids who were learning about nature and who were showing all this like elephants and stuff. And that we were going up and going down. Yeah, we were playing, we were actually interacting. And I felt that this, flow, this feeling of flow, like everything doesn't go according to plan, but it goes according to some inner workings. And we were in full contact with these children. When the lesson was over, we couldn't stop. They asked me, "Can you play with us more?" And we went, and during the break, we were playing for additional 15 minutes because they didn't want to let me go.
So you
And this was my
actually
best
managed to
lesson.
create this immersion, right? The emotional
Yeah, yeah,
immersion together with
absolutely.
language immersion. So they totally forgot they're actually in a class and you're teaching.
Yeah,
Discipline was there, but they completely forgot they're supposed to study, like
they
they
were sitting
forgot
on the
they were
carpet,
enjoying.
and they saw me in the first time in their lives. Those were some children who had never seen me before, and they were from Azerbaijan. Just some local children who their parents brought specifically so that we could have this model lesson. And I know that children, they usually are afraid of strange adults who they have never seen or touched, and they don't know anything about them. But these children trusted me because we built this rapport. And I think during TESOL, that's what I realized. This is the most important thing that we create with our students. We create contact. We create a bond.
Bravo to you. Bravo to you.
It was,
So,
yeah, what my
Alina,
trainers taught me.
can you please, now we are naturally coming to the next question I wanted to ask
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Can you please highlight, like just to say 1, 2, 3, or maybe one, the most important skill for a modern teacher in your opinion?
Well, I think this ability to build rapport, to build good contact is maybe the crucial one.
Okay,
Because
so then how to achieve? What are your ways?
how to achieve is, it's like to achieve the state of mind, you actually have to work a lot. Because we are, I would say, we are traumatized by our society, I think, since childhood, right? So we are like meant to be in contact with people. But I don't know about Poland, but I know about Ukraine, that Ukraine is a post-Soviet country with a very difficult totalitarian past, full of wars, revolutions, and so on. And it makes people very cold, very closed, and really traumatized. So it makes people not trust each other, not open up. When I was in Baku, what struck me really hard is that people are much more open, much more loving, and they're not afraid to say, "I love you," even if they have met like 5 minutes ago. For me, it was like, oh my God, everyone is hugging each other. Why? Yes. But I realized that Ukrainian teachers, they have this background, right? That this background makes us difficult. Uh, and it's very difficult to overcome the situation. So I'm in therapy. I'm not afraid to say that. And I also study psychology. So I studied 3 levels of emotional image therapy, 1 level of Gestalt therapy, just because I wanted to understand how I work and how people work. And I think I wanted to realize how emotional intelligence actually works. So the ability to understand your emotions, the ability to understand people's emotions, the ability to connect with people, not with your ideas of people, not with your projections that you put on people. but with the real, actual reality that exists and that you come in contact with. So imagine that you touch the world with a glove on your hand, right? And you're always wearing this glove and you have no idea that the glove is there. And then you take it off and your hand is naked and you touch people with your actual naked hand. And this is a totally different kind of contact. And I think this is the most important thing because we work with contact. We work with reports. We work with establishing this communication between us and our students, and then we help students to communicate with each other. So
Yeah,
it's not about some results.
I remember even your post that you wrote a couple of weeks ago, saying that teachers were never taught even to improvise, and
Yep.
this is so true. I mean, I never
Yep.
realized it before I read your post, and then I'm like, you know, it's like something what you understand, but you never say to yourself out, and then you hear it from someone, and you say, "But this is true." And you were saying we were never taught to improvise. We always were taught to have a lesson plan, go strictly according to the methodology, be prepared with a million of exercises in case you have some extra time left or something. And then, yeah, but improvise. But at the same time, we're expected to be flexible and to always go with the emotions of our children or our students, no matter what age they are, because they all come with their own mood. And I mean, children, they may be disappointed or sad, or adults, they come always in the evening after work, and they bring these problems, so daily routine together with them, and here you are like, okay, this is the exercise. No.
Yeah, just open your books. Yeah, look at this exercise. Let's check it. Yeah, so Alex, please, Peter, please, yeah. And it's like you dehumanize them with this activity, right? It's like you say, I don't give a, and I don't care, basically. I don't care that you are tired, that you're sad, that you're crying, that you're in some emotional state, that your cat died maybe, or something, that you lost your job. I don't care. Just open the book, I'm detached. And actually, this is the attitude that a lot of school teachers have and university teachers. I don't care. When I was a university student, one of our teachers told us, the only reason when you can miss my exam is when you're dead. Literally. I didn't miss this exam. I passed it with flying colors, but I was so hyper. I was scared and I was nervous, even though I knew it perfectly. And I remember I couldn't sleep at night before the exam because I was afraid that I would fail. And I passed it with flying colors. So you can imagine the level of stress it puts on people. So people feel we are not important. The teacher cares about our exercises. The teacher cares about our marks. What we want, no one asks us, right? So that's the attitude. And that's what happens then.
I just recall that I was working in a state school and university and college and in a private school, like evening classes for adults, And the thing was that I couldn't stay there for more than 5 months because I was so stressed. The people were just amazing. They were just wonderful, but our methodologist would kind of make us go so strict according to the plan. She was wonderful. I learned a lot from her because each and every lesson she could just open the door and come. You would never know when she's coming, just to observe your lesson, but you had to go. I was planning not only a minute, I was planning every second, and I completely forgot that people have their emotion, people have their, I mean, I didn't have chance to take it into account. I knew that I need to go strictly because the program was so intense. So it's not even only state, it's sometimes in private. It can happen anywhere, actually.
Because people are focused on results, results that are countable, easy to see, manageable, and equal. Yeah, like the same. You do the same and you get the same result again and again and again. I understand where it's coming from, right? So we have CEFR, people have to pass IELTS or TOEFL or whatever. People have to get into universities. I did preparation for IELTS. I took IELTS myself. So I did preparation and my students went into Canada, to Sweden, to the US, and so on. But there you're always focused on result, right? So you don't have time for all this, frills, no frills. Just write your essay and make it good. No, there is a mistake here, here, here. This is bad. This should be rewritten. So you're stressed out yourself and you stress out your students on top of that, right?
That's true. Alina, also you were talking, we were discussing with you, and you also have a post, if I'm not mistaken, about this natural flow, as you said, that
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you just, oh, before discovering that dogma method exists,
Yeah, yeah.
you were practicing it already. So kind of
Kinda,
would
kinda.
start a class and sometimes go according to your plan and sometimes go as the student would naturally feel. So can you give a little bit more background and describe how it actually works with you?
I never studied dogma. Not yet. I plan to, but I haven't. I know that probably in the book it means so much more, right, than this natural flow. But the essence is that a lesson is an improvisation. It happens between you and the students, right? So you kind of give them, it's like throwing a stone on the water and looking at the circles. And to me, actually, it reminds a bit about Gestalt, because in Gestalt, when you work in groups, and even when you work during the session, it's not about some particular methodology. You don't have to do this, this, and this. There are methods that work like this, like cognitive behavioral, for example, where you have a protocol. In Gestalt, you don't follow a protocol. You follow the general ethics. But what happens during the session is between you and the student, or between you and the client. And I think my lessons right now look a bit more like this. So yes, I do have some things prepared, and I work with adults, right? So I don't think about discipline. I don't think that I have to change activities every like 5 minutes because they will be easily tired and so on. So I work with people who are well into their 20s or 30s or 40s. So they have
Came
different attention
voluntarily,
span.
right?
Yeah, yeah, they paid their money and so on. Yeah, and they came. Their free will. Yeah, so I don't make them do anything. But what happens during the lessons is totally determined by who came, what they are doing, what they want to do, and kind of what the mood is. For example, today my students were feeling great. We talked about St. Valentine's Day and so on. But on Monday, one of my students said, I think I've got COVID. So obviously he wasn't very happy and he didn't feel well, and all my pre-planned activities just went out of the window because we had to talk about him, about how he's holding up and so on. And he wasn't really into, all these fun activities because he wasn't feeling well. And I think this is closer to actual life where people learn English actually to communicate with other people. And even when we are in the professional field, like we are giving a presentation, for example, or we are talking to our partners during some Zoom meeting or whatever, we are still all human. And people will naturally react to other people's emotions, like faces, mirror neurons, all this stuff. So if you see that your partner is sleepy and has a hangover, you probably won't ask them for some new activities or whatever. And the same thing happens during the lesson. If you see this, your students are sleepy, tired, they just came from a very difficult long meeting. They are not in the mood. You just adapt, change. And that's how flexibility and adaptability come into play. Yeah, so there's two other things that every teacher, I think, needs. Not only teacher, people in general. So emotional intelligence, flexibility, and the ability to adapt. These are things that I think everyone should build on, especially in these hard times, yes, the pandemic and Zoom exhaustion and everything.
Absolutely.
So I think teachers shouldn't only develop, in the field of methodologies. Methodologies are great. They kind of give you something to, they give you the foundation. But your personality is what builds the whole house. You will build the house that you can. No one can build a house like you do, right? So someone will build a temple, someone will build a skyscraper, someone will build a hobbit house, whatever.
According to their fantasies. So then,
Yeah, yeah.
if you could highlight in like one sentence or two sentences, what do teachers actually teach? What are we doing there?
I think we don't sell products, we sell processes. And we sell emotional states. Because you as a teacher, you are in a certain state of mind when you're teaching. Right? You're calm, you're composed, you take into account everything that happens. You control without pushing too hard. You adapt, you change, you tailor. Yeah, so you do a lot of processes at like every single minute, right? And everything, all this, things keep rolling in your head. What do I do next? Has it worked well? Is it connecting? Yes, so even when you sit like this, yes, so you're doing what? You're actively listening. And I know that in your head you're trying to, give me words. Well, you're trying to predict what I'm going to say, right?
Not like I'm trying to predict, no, I'm just listening. The natural
Because
thing.
teachers often do that. When you work with lower levels, you're always keeping this lines of words ready if they need help. If they are saying, I went to shop, supermarket, park, yeah, so you're there to help them out. I sometimes feel I can actually hear the words that the students are saying in their head, in my own head. I can feel their sentences coming out. I can hear how everything's like, ah! Yeah, so
That
this.
comes with experience.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right, so then, what do teachers learn?
Everything. Because we always talk like in the modern times we always say soft skills are crucial, right? So hard skills can be taught. It's easy. I work with IT specialists. I think since 2015, I've been working with IT, and recruiters always say hard skills can be taught. It's not a problem. You can teach any person to do anything, but soft skills are only learned from experience. You can't just, take a person from the street and tell them, develop your emotional intelligence, or like learn to communicate. It's not done in an hour. It's thousands, tens of thousands of hours that we invest into ourselves, for example, into our experience, into our skill. And when we learn from students, that's what we learn. We learn how to listen. We learn how to interact. We learn how to communicate. We learn how to organize this communication, how to build it. I think this is priceless.
Yeah, definitely. Alina, so I already introduced, when I was introducing you, I of course said that you are TESOL certified emotion image therapy specialist. Yeah. So I will not repeat it, already did, but so we obviously understand that you develop and how you develop. So you pick up some new knowledge which you, I guess, you take from some books and you want to go deeper. So anyway, can you please describe what is teacher's development in your opinion? So how often does it happen? Does it happen like you take courses or you read books or any other options?
All of the above, yeah. Well, I've taken some courses. I only take the courses that I enjoy. So I don't make myself go somewhere if I feel that I won't learn anything. I'm not a fan of people, who just switch off their camera on Zoom and they kind of participate, but not really. And everyone says to themselves, oh, I will learn, yeah, I will watch the recording, yeah, I will take notes later. It doesn't happen like that. Either you're there or you aren't. Like, be honest with yourself. I think this is rule number one. And secondly, I would say that you shouldn't gather certificates. Yeah, certificates won't make you happy. And they won't make you a better teacher if you don't go there for specific skills and you don't have a clear picture in mind, what I want to have, yeah, when I finish this course. Then just don't go. Don't waste your own time, right? So, always this question, like what my certificate of TESOL gave me. In terms of salary, nothing. In terms of somehow make me a worldwide known teacher, not yet. So it's not like, I grab the certificate and I can look the world, hey, I've got a certificate. It just is on my resume and that's it. What it gave me was a deep understanding of what I teach, how I teach. what I do in the classroom as I, you know, because we've had several trainers and we could watch every of them working as they want and as they can. And all of them were showing a totally different kind of teaching. So one of them was working like in the theater. The other seems was walking out of Prime Minister's office and just occasionally came into our classroom in his Dior costume. And the third one was so strict at one time, but then so nice during the other lessons. So at first I didn't know what to make out of her. And they were showing us totally different teaching styles and teaching personalities. And there you could see, what am I as a teacher? What kind of personality I am? And you could say, wow, that can be done. Yes, if I'm this kind of like theatric person, I like making jokes and so on, and there I can see the trainer who's doing the same, and I'm like, okay, I'm in a good company. So for me, it's more about widening your horizons, right? So when you go to some courses, well, for example, I took a course with Andrew Walkley, you know, from Lexical Lab. He's fantastic, but he's British. So he has his, you know, British humor. I love it. Not everyone, however, does. You know, so if you see that the personality of your trainer isn't compatible with yours, maybe just read the book and reconsider. I think you shouldn't take as many courses as possible. It's not okay if you can't digest them. If you just, you know, stack them on your shelves and you don't have time to process it and to actually put it into practice.
Yeah.
So I took, I think, 2 courses last year, well, 2 courses for teachers. And for me, that was enough. Yes, so Paul Harvey's drama course, which was just amazing. Because, yeah, Paul is this amazing personality. He makes everyone laugh. He is very kind, and he makes everyone super relaxed, and he makes adult people play like little bunnies in the yard. So, with a tremendous fun, with a great sense of humor and so on. And when I went to this course, I went it because I wanted to see how Paul works. So when I go to a course, I want to see not just what they teach, but how they do it. What can I take for myself? When I go to dancing lessons, for example, singing lessons, I look what the teacher does, the trainer does, and I think, what can I learn? What can I pick up? Which are good things for me, which are compatible with what I already do? What can I just fit in my methodology? So as a teacher, I'm always looking at different teachers. I went, for example, to drumming lessons last year, oh, no, 2 years ago, and it taught me so much about teaching present continuous. I can't even explain. Because during the drumming sessions, you always think about time and rhythm, and you think of how you describe time to people. Yeah, this is philosophy. And then it's much easier for you to describe time to people who study languages. Everything is connected. So you have just to see what pieces of knowledge fit in your teaching and just connect them. Yeah, if you're doing any kind of learning, then you can just connect it to what you do as a teacher. That's what I think. The
I
teacher
saw
development is not about only, you know, teaching courses.
I so relate what you're saying because I also attended this drama course by Paul Harvey, and I remember that, oh my God, I gained actually 2 aspects of knowledge because
Uh-huh.
I learned what he actually taught, some kind of activities, interesting tasks which we never were introduced to, so I can use it. Oh my God, I would never imagine that I can present a scene from a movie in such interesting way. How
Mm-hmm.
I was not able to come up to this idea. But on the other hand, I also learned how he is actually presenting these ideas, these activities, and the way he speaks and the way he uses the gestures and the motions. It's all about that. And so you
Absolutely.
actually gain 2 aspects of knowledge. It's so wonderful. And yeah, collecting certificates is not about that because you know, sometimes it happens. I also have the folder like that, and I was going through
Like,
this,
watch
and
later, yeah?
I found one certificate well back in years, like I don't know, 8 years
Mm.
ago maybe, and I was looking at it. Well, but that's very old, obviously. But I was looking at like what I studied there. I cannot remember. So Probably I was so attentive at that particular, that was a webinar probably,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that time webinars were not so popular, not
Mm-hmm.
so much, and most likely I assume that, I don't know, somehow I lost interest, well, probably, So I'm just
That's
looking
nice.
at this very paper and I'm thinking, I cannot remember anything. And so this is just paper. But some other certificates, obviously, you have the knowledge, but you don't care about this paper because everything is here. That's
And
exactly
it's
the
the
reason.
same as going to a conference. Before 2019, I actually didn't believe much in conferences because I know that people just present some topic that they are interested in, but you aren't, and that they don't care whether you care, right? So everyone is there for other reasons, for networking, for coffee, for certificates, for whatever. But when I was at this conference, I realized that there were fantastic speakers who actually moved my heart and who made me think. Yeah, so that was actually Andrew Walkley. I think the whole hall fell in love with him, like from the first word, because he can explain such complex things in such simple way. And he made us laugh a lot when he was talking about how we teach people something like I'm from Ukraine during class 1, but you never teach them like can I go out unless they learn this phrase somewhere in book 2 lesson 4, or like I'm going to lunch, I'm going to that's pre-intermediate. So elementary students, they kind of like shouldn't know this stuff, but they should. So yeah, I think it was a very interesting aspect what we teach. Yeah, when we teach from the book, do we actually connect it with real life when students would say, "Can I go out?" or no? Yeah, or we just teach them, "What country are you from? What's your nationality?" Like that's a casual question people actually
What's your
ask
phone
themselves.
number? Yeah,
Yeah,
lesson 2 in
what's your phone
elementary
number?
book.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. All the elementary books is now like, what's your name? What's your nationality? What's your phone number? And so on. Like as a
Can you
teacher, I
spell your
realize
surname?
why, but I don't think I ever asked people what their nationality or, it's not very kind of.
Actually, yeah, it's not such a good question. You should be careful. Like, where do you come from, maximum,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah, yeah. Or like, are you married? Yeah, we
Countries,
usually
I'm
don't
sorry.
ask adults whether they are married unless we hit on them in the bar. Yes, so and the other people that were on this conference, this was Vitaly Zubkov. He's a famous Ukrainian polyglot and teacher. And he was talking in the way that made me feel so energetic. And I just realized why I love teaching. Because when you teach, you share a lot of energy with your classroom, right? So it's not only about giving information, it's about getting this feedback. You give them and they give you, yeah, and you're connected to each other. So it's more about this connection. Because, if there are thousands of applications which help to learn languages, how come people still come to teachers? Maybe applications aren't teaching them something that real people
Yeah,
can.
people need people.
Absolutely. And what is more, teachers need teachers.
Yeah.
Because again, before that conference, I communicated with university teachers and with some of my colleagues, but not much because mostly they were, burned out, frustrated people. It wasn't easy to communicate with them. I couldn't really learn from them. And it wasn't until I found these people from the conference, like Eva Tatarova and others, that actually, yeah, the TESOL family, which became my TESOL family later. So when I realized how much we can learn from each other, and not only in terms of methodology, but in terms of am I okay? Am I sane? Terry Pratchett, one of my favorite writers, he had these books about witches, and there was this idea that witches are solitary people, so they usually work on their own, but from time to time they gather in groups because they want to see whether everyone is still sane and whether anyone has gone crazy. So when you go crazy, you go down the bad road. Yeah, you start eating children. You start living in this, hut made out of cookies, and you start boiling children for breakfast. That's a bad road. But if the other witches see then they can kind of bring you to your senses, and they can see not everything is okay with you. So I think that's what teacher community does. We help each other to stay sane and to stay in contact with ourselves, and we can actually support each other. Like
Alina,
last week,
mentioning this, I remember you were telling me about your plans to open another
yeah, absolutely.
project. Can you give us
Yeah,
details, please?
one more
Since we are
project. Yeah,
together.
I love making new projects. So, I really think that there should be peer groups for teachers, and that's what I'm going to do with the Start Teaching Learning. We're going to create in March a peer support group for teachers, which will be a little bit like Gestalt group. So we are going to talk about what worries those specific people who come to a specific session, and people will work in groups or in pairs. They will be able to listen to each other and to talk. I wanted to name it teacher talking time because, during learning, we are always told teacher talking time should be very low, no teacher talking time. I'm still thinking about the brand name. But the idea is that here in this group, you can talk about yourself, right? So you can talk about what troubles you. You can share with each other, and you can talk to each other, and you can support each other. Even if you don't know each other yet, you will. So you will make some new friends. You will find some colleagues who are similar to you in their views, maybe in their opinions. And it doesn't matter what country you're from because, it's all done on Zoom anyway. So you will connect to some other people, and these people will become maybe your mates. Yeah, so maybe they will become your friends. Maybe they will be just the peer group that you can actually come into contact and find out, are you okay? Does that happen to other people? Because, on Instagram, we are always showing the best side, right? So everyone is writing, I'm a perfect teacher, everything is super, I earn a lot of money, right? So people are made to behave like that by marketing strategies. Marketing strategies are selling product. Yeah, so product is easily produced and easily sold. We are not selling products, we are selling processes. Processes can't work perfectly. People are not machines, and when we work with students, they will not work like some automatons, from the 19th century. They will do what people do. And, oh, this is sweet. Thank you, Akbar. That's my TESOL trainer. And actually, when people do what they do, teachers feel frustrated. Teachers think something is wrong with me. They take it personally. Students are leaving, or students aren't learning well. Something is not okay. And that's where they should actually get some friendly help from others and to find out, does it happen to others, or is it just me? I think this is maybe the deepest question, one of the deepest questions that we as humans always ask themselves. Is it just me, or does it happen to other people? Am I normal? Is that normal, those things that are happening to me? So people are coming to psychologists with this question to find out if they are normal. But teachers, they don't have supervisors. Usually when there are older teachers, you know what they get? Criticism. Why didn't you? You should have. Yes, they get some harsh criticism from those older teachers, or more important, senior teachers. And they don't get support. So they don't get this, like friendly shoulder they can cry on. And this friendly shoulder that you can at least tell your issues to sometimes works wonders. I've learned that in empathic listening, even when you don't say anything, like you are doing, actually you are showing a perfect example. You're sitting there absolutely quiet, but you're listening empathically. So I see that you're not looking at your phone, right? You are here with me. Whatever I say, yeah, you can relate maybe, but you don't, break my train of thought. Yeah, I just wanted to share. So empathic listening makes even post-traumatic stress disorder go away quicker. So this is proven results got into in a lab, right? So when people who got post-traumatic stress disorder after war, conflict, things like that, were listened to and they could talk about what happened to them, they would recover much faster.
That's so
And
clear. Do you know actually what I thought just right now?
mhm,
That us teachers, especially with all my respect, those who are not native speakers, expectations to us is
yeah,
really stressful because we cannot say each and every lesson, oh, excuse me, I have to check it, or I forgot something, I don't know this word, I see it for the first time in my life, sorry.
let
So
me Google that.
it's it's such stress level. Can you imagine? Yeah, and we always each and every lesson we keep it in mind. And it's not only with elementary students, with whoever it can happen. They can bring anything. I saw this word somewhere, and you're like, oh my god! I also
The
see it.
hell I know.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to check. I'm sorry. I mean, grammar is easy. I can learn grammar and I can
Yeah,
always
yeah,
remember
yeah.
it. But the words, language is life, and
Come
teaching
on.
all day long, you
Slang, yeah,
cannot.
internet slang. You go on Insta and there are thousands of words you can't even begin to understand.
And we don't
Twitter
have time
feeds.
to catch up with all of the new
Of
words
course
because
not.
we are
Of
not in
course
this
not.
environment. We're in foreign countries, right? So, I mean, it's such stress, and that's so good that you're creating
And
such
you can
powerful
talk about it
chat.
to anyone, right? Because if you talk about it on Insta, yes, the students will say, how come you're a teacher? It should be perfect. Yes, the expectations are unrealistic.
Yeah.
I feel that as a woman, obviously as a feminist, right? And I feel it as a teacher that sometimes expectations are like, people say, how much is going to take me to see results? How should I know? I can tell that a course is between 48 and 50 lessons, okay? Yes, so from 0 to A1. Yes, so it will take you around 50 lessons. But I don't know what kind of person you are, how fast you learn, and what psychological barriers and traumas you have that will obviously influence our work and will make it very difficult for me to teach you even basic stuff. Because every time you don't remember word. I actually had one student, he was hitting himself like this, literally with his hand, every time when he didn't remember a word.
But hitting hard.
And there was no mark, but he did it like 50 times per lesson. He was, level 0 student, yes, so starter, complete starter. He actually wasn't really intelligent. It was hard for him to learn in general. So he had some, learning issues, I would say. And he punished himself for not remembering the words correctly. So he didn't do it hard, but he kept doing it. And I was always, I always wanted just to grab his wrist and say, stop hurting yourself. Why are you doing that? Even though I know why he was doing that, because he was a failure as a student at school, at the university. So he felt that he was a failure as a person. And he kept making himself feeling bad for not being able to remember words like mother, brother, and sister. It was horrible. I worked with him maybe just 2 months. I tried to make the most of it. Yeah, I tried to make him feel more relaxed. But I realized that I was fighting the whole system in the face of this person who is hitting himself because it was so, it was constructed already, yeah, this belief that he is a failure. And I have to fight against all his school teachers who told him that. And this is hard.
And each and every teacher has so many stories like this, and we keep
Absolutely.
it inside of us because we cannot judge. It's not about judging.
Yes,
That's
yes.
real people, and we all have
It's about
our
sharing.
own issues. Yeah. But yeah, we should, without personalities, we should just express these emotions and just share that I was lost, I didn't know what to do. How could I? This is this mastermind, which is super popular now between these business people. This is what we
Hmm.
need to have, teachers. We need masterminds.
Yes, yes, yes. Just
Oh,
to
it's so good
just
that
to
you're
get
opening.
some reality check.
When? I'm the first to come. When?
Hopefully, yeah. So we still need to work out the details, yeah, the technicalities, like how often it should happen and so on. So, but we'll announce it as soon as we can. And I think it will probably happen every week. Yes, so, and that it will be open. So anyone can come. So you don't have to sign up for the whole like course or something. You can come and go when you want to. But I think that it will be a safe space. So what we talk about in the classroom, what is done in Vegas stays in Vegas. Yes, so we don't discuss the stories of other people that have been shared with each other. So we have some basic, ethical boundaries here that even if we see they're our colleagues that we know well, we don't take this out, from this room. And I think it will be a place where everyone can come with their stuff. Yes, I think we will have some general topic, like working with your inner critic, for example, or how you build your support network, or how to rely on yourself more, how to trust yourself instead of trusting Instagram and, marketologists that make you believe that you are not okay, that you're not enough. Yeah, so how to work with what you have. Yeah, so these are the topics that I would like to tackle in the first month, and then we'll see how it goes. So I think it will last maybe an hour or maybe 90 minutes, I don't know. And it will be mostly done in rooms in Zoom. Yeah, so people will uh, participate in general discussion if they want to, but then they will go into rooms and they will be able to talk to each other for 10 minutes maybe. So they will be separated, and it will all happen in English. But English here is not the goal. English is the means, because I also believe that because we have teaching personas, right? So teacher persona speaks English. And maybe it will be even easier, because when you start back translating, it takes so much time. So when you talk in English about your English issues, I think it will be psychologically easier just to talk to teachers who also have the same stuff and the same issues. And I believe it will help people to build a community, because even if they haven't yet, even if they haven't participated in conferences, in courses, they will be able to find some other people that feel and think the same. They will be able, oh, they will be able just to find some friends. That's the end goal. And actually, yeah, I see Pinar has joined us, and actually, yeah, Pinar's webinar on how to work with your psychological well-being, how to stay sane, gave me more ideas about what I want to do in this classroom. Because when we were supposed to do tasks in separate rooms in Zoom, we were just chatting with other teachers about how hard life is and so. And it really helped tremendously.
Yeah.
So I really hope that we can show more love and support to each other, because, when I was a younger teacher, maybe I'm doing it for the younger me, kind of. Because when I was a younger teacher, I didn't get this, support, and I didn't have all the teachers that I could rely on. I couldn't just come to them and say, you see, this is what happened. Because they would naturally blame the students and blame me that everything didn't work out. So they would never support me. They would just blame me. They would, call me and say some harsh words and so on. But I think a new generation of teachers actually, exists. Younger teachers who want to be empathetic, who want to be human in the classroom, and this is for them.
Yeah. Some weeks ago, I was making a post, and there was just short message: be the support which you didn't have. Like, give what
Yeah, it's kind of giving back, yeah. So because I already got the support from my trainers, from my colleagues, and I want to share. When you share love, there is just more love around. And I think that there is plenty of love in all of us, because usually we give it to our students. Teachers have made this way that we often give the love that we would like to have to our students. And then who gives love to us, right? So we should give love to ourselves and to each other as well. And I think building a support network is a crucial thing here, right? So building a network of people that you can trust. even though they're in another country, right? So it's not important right now. We all saw that human contact actually is built wherever. In Zoom, in Skype, in Messenger, in Telegram, in Insta. Even you can start commenting someone on Instagram and just realizing, oh my God, you think the same thoughts. Absolutely. I feel you. Yes, so I've had this experience myself when you read someone's post, and some of these people are watching right now, and you feel that those are like your soul sisters, yeah, and brothers, yes, so like a soulmate. So they're writing the same things, and that's, I think, the internet gives us this ability, yeah, to see those people and to meet them and to connect with them.
Alinka, dear, I'm
I
so
want to hug
thankful
you.
to you for this session, but I'm keeping an eye on the time and I'm
Yes, I
so
know.
afraid to lose this session. So I'm gonna close it, save it, and we obviously keep in touch and keep us
Yeah,
posted, please, about the
yeah,
teachers.
sure. Thank you so
Thank you
much for
so much
having me.
for being tonight with me, and thank you guys for being with us, and see you
Yeah, thanks
next
everyone who came. I was so glad to see your nicknames
time.
and your
Bye
hearts.
bye.
Bye, everyone.